Terrifier from 2016, directed by Damien Leone. The first film starring Art the Clown, second feature-length film to include the character. With a budget of $35,000, this has gone on to become one of the most iconic starts of a franchise you've seen, especially in recent years. And because Terrifier 3 is coming out this month, I figured it's a perfect time to start reviewing Terrifier and Terrifier 2. Now you can check out a video I did on Terrifier 2 on VHS here. I didn't review the movie itself though, so I am going to do that after this video. Welcome back to Fright Club 2024 on the Ectoviolence channel. My name is Alec. Today we're talking Terrifier. Now this is a movie that took me a few years to see, let me just say. I actually saw Terrifier 2 before Terrifier because I heard it was much better. Spoiler alert, it is. But we're talking about Terrifier today, so let's go ahead and start with the positives. The positives. Alright, for a $35,000 budget, this movie is insanely well done. The actors, the way it's shot, the setting, you can tell the setting is, out of necessity for the low budget, but it works. For this kind of grimy slasher like this that very much reminds us of 80s and 90s slashers and iconic stuff that was going on then. Stuff that we all miss. We're all yearning always for a new slasher icon, and I don't want to at this point say Art the Clown has become, full slasher icon status, but listen, people always include the new Pennywise in their little slasher icon lists. I personally still think the Tim Curry Pennywise is way more iconic than that version. And if that Pennywise, that's just a few years old, can be included, then so can Art the Clown. Honestly, based on Terrifier 2 alone. If Terrifier 3 is anywhere near as good as that, then I'll be completely satisfied. So this is basically about a massacre that occurs on Halloween. That's how it's framed. There's a framing device around it. That's pretty interesting. I like that. The characters are mildly interesting. I think that's the biggest critique you can have. We'll get to that later, but I do like some of the characters enough. There just isn't a lot of development there, but they are played well at least. The actors perform what they have very well. Another positive is going to be the music, which is very reminiscent of older horror scores from the 80s and 90s, even a little bit of 70s in there, to be honest. And that was one of the things I kept focusing in on, which happens a lot with these style of movies. Terrifier 2, I think, took it to another level. Like when I'm watching Terrifier 2, I'm sitting there like, holy shit, this music. When I'm watching this one, it's a little less of that, but it's like, oh, this is awesome. It reminds me a little more of the grindhousey stuff. David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown, obviously a great performance, lots of physical acting. Obviously there's no line, but this is a very disturbing character, and I'm really looking forward to see what we're going to get out of Terrifier 3 with this character. Which leads me to the effects of this movie and the kills. Some of them, a little lackluster here and there. Obviously, the big one is the sawing in half, right? Now, Damien Leone said he wrote this sort of as an exercise to help practice his practical effects. And oh my god, practice them he did. It's a very disturbing scene to watch, especially if you're a victim of anything sexual assault related. I do really like the guy getting his head sawn off, face getting squashed in. The practical effects are really perfect. They match the aesthetic of the old movies that we would watch growing up. And this is the worst of the two movies so far, I think, that are, of the Terrifier franchise, if you will. I mean, if you want to include the others, that's a whole other thing. But I just mean out of these two, this is definitely the weaker. However, this one is shorter by almost a full hour. So at least this one's not sticking around past its welcome. I will say my favorite effect that was included was the art wearing the skin of that woman. That whole scene was very Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter to me. I really like that. It's one of the most disturbing shots of the movie. And let's go ahead and switch over to the negatives of Terrifier. Alright, obviously the elephant in the room is the lack of character development for any of the lead characters. They are pretty boring. Damien Leone knows this. It's one of the things he says he regrets, so I'm not going to hold that against this movie too much. I think they work well enough for a horror movie like this. Like, they kind of blend in very well. They could have had some more interesting things here and there. Like, if you really want it to work like a good slasher, you gotta want to care about some of these characters at least a little bit. Find them mildly interesting. I would say a negative. This is only in comparison because I saw Terrifier 2 first. But the lighting and the scenery is nothing like the second movie. The second movie is way better at that stuff. But again, take this with a grain of salt, because this has a $35,000 budget, and for a $35,000 budget, this is insane. Here's the thing, with slashers, it can go either way. The first one can often be the best in the franchise, thought of as the best, or at least honorarily the best, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. And then there's some franchises like Friday the 13th where people are not going to agree that the first one is the best. And obviously, Damien Leone has said that Terrifier 2 is his Dream Warriors for Terrifier. Terrifier 3 has me really interested because I like Christmas horror movies. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Jack Frost, Black Christmas, Black Xmas. That's fun stuff for me. So before I rate Terrifier, why don't you go ahead and jump in the comments down below and let me know what you thought of the first Terrifier movie and if you're excited to see Terrifier 3. And I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 5 hearts. It definitely, in comparison to Terrifier 2, it's lacking a lot. It's definitely not going to be remembered as the best Terrifier movie. I haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet. I'm hoping that it's better than this one too, but we're just going to have to see. If you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.